Jack Harper had seen many abandoned ships in his life. He had fixed rusted freighters, broken fighters, and even a few old exploration vessels that nobody cared about. But when he floated his small shuttle into the orbiting scrapyard near the dying star Tormus, he felt a strange excitement he had never felt before. Among the floating debris, twisted metal, and quiet wrecks, one ship stood out. It was huge, larger than anything Jack had ever touched. Its hull was scarred and rusted, some panels missing or hanging loose. The engines were dark and cold. The entire ship looked like it had been left to die. Aliens had been here before him. Inspecting the ship, Jack had overheard some of their reports through the chatter of the scrapyard. "No power," one said in a clipped tone. "It cannot fly. It is worthless." Another laughed. "Humans cannot even fix a ship this large." Most factions had ignored it, leaving it to drift alone. That made Jack smile. CY 2-7, about Groa. Jack docked his small shuttle to one of the hangar bays still attached to the ship. The bay was cracked and half collapsed, and pieces of broken machinery floated slowly in zero gravity. Dust and space grime had settled everywhere, making the air smell faintly metallic. He floated inside and activated his tools, pulling out a small, portable workbench and scanning the hull. "This thing was alive once," Jack said quietly to himself, "and I think I can make it alive again." He had learned to trust his instincts. Machines, even dead ones, often left a pattern in their design. If someone knew how to look, the pattern would speak. Jack had done it before. He had fixed engines that no one else could touch and repaired navigation systems that aliens had declared unsalvageable. But this ship was something different. It was enormous, almost too large to imagine, and the designs were clearly ancient. The metal plates were strong, almost unbreakable, and the systems were strange. They were not like the ships humans or aliens made now. Jack started examining the engine room first. The entrance was blocked by a half-collapsed airlock. He used a small plasma cutter to carefully remove the debris. Sparks floated in the zero-gravity air as he worked, illuminating panels that had long forgotten the touch of life. Inside, the engine core was enormous and silent. It looked like it could power a small city, but the energy conduits were burnt, and many of the control panels were shattered. "Not even close to working," Jack muttered. "But it has potential." He floated along the engine, scanning each component. The conduits were layered with unknown alloys, strange metals that shimmered faintly, even under dim light. Jack took samples, noting every unusual feature. He didn't know what most of it was yet, but he had a plan. He always had a plan. While Jack worked, other aliens came by to look. They hovered outside, making rude comments and laughing at him. "Humans," one hissed, thinking they can fix what they cannot even understand. Jack ignored them. He had long since learned that aliens often underestimated humans. That was one of humanity's advantages. While they relied on rigid rules and past knowledge, humans could improvise. And improvisation often worked where theory failed. He set up temporary power nodes to bring minimal energy to the ship. Small lights flickered on across the hull, and the first hum of life from the engines startled even Jack. The vibration was weak, almost nothing. But it was a start. The ship's sensors activated slightly, scanning the nearby area. Jack could feel the ship responding to him, like a tired animal waking from a long sleep. Jack's thoughts drifted for a moment to why no one else wanted it. The galaxy was full of warships, freighters, and exploration vessels. Yet this one had been ignored. Perhaps it was too big, too old, too strange. Perhaps its secrets were hidden too deep. Most beings would not take the risk. Jack, however, did not think about risk in the same way. He thought about possibilities, and possibilities were always exciting. He spent hours cleaning out the corridors. Dust and debris floated like tiny stars in the low light. He fixed broken doors and patched small holes in the hull. He opened a room that looked like a control center. The panels were dead, but the layout was familiar enough. Jack could see the faint outlines of alien symbols, and with a little work, he could decipher some of them. He smiled. "This is going to be something else," he said, moving from console to console. Something no one expects. Jack worked alone, but he was not lonely. He often talked to the machines as he repaired them, giving them names, joking, imagining what they would say if they could talk. It was a habit, but also a way to focus. He named the engine Old Heart because it seemed the most alive in the room, even silent. He tapped a panel and said, "Come on, Old Heart, show me what you've got." By the third day, Jack had repaired minor systems and brought minimal energy to the ship. The lights in the corridors glowed faintly. Life support activated, giving the air a breathable quality. Jack floated through the hallways, testing doors and panels, checking for leaks. Everywhere he looked, there were traces of old technology that humans no longer used. It was strange, but it was beautiful in a way. Jack decided to inspect the bridge. The stairs leading up were partly collapsed, so he used his tools to carefully cut through the wreckage. The bridge was huge, wider than any ship he had seen. Seats were broken, but the main console was intact. He floated to the center, placing his hand on the central control panel. "You've been sleeping a long time," he said. "Let's see if we can wake you up a little." He connected his portable interface device to the control system. Data began to flow, slowly, corrupted, and fragmented. Jack spent hours piecing it together, reading old codes, guessing connections, and improvising solutions. Slowly, the ship's AI, if it could be called that, began to stir. Small lights blinked across the bridge. A faint hum filled the air. Jack smiled again. Outside the ship, a small group of alien scavengers observed from a distance. They were laughing, expecting Jack to fail. "He has no idea," one said. "He will never get it working." Jack ignored them completely, focusing on his work. During the night cycle, while the ship's internal lights glowed softly, Jack had a small meal and checked his tools. He noticed something odd, a small core hidden under layers of metal beneath the main engine. It was round, almost like a glowing orb, and it pulsed faintly. Jack had never seen anything like it. "This is the heart of it," he whispered. "And it's been waiting for someone to notice." Jack spent the next day carefully extracting the core. He had to use every tool he had, making precise cuts and avoiding any sudden movements that could damage it. When he finally held it in his hands, he felt a strange energy pass through him. The core hummed faintly, almost like it recognized him. "It's alive," Jack said, feeling a thrill he hadn't felt in years. "And it's waiting for me to wake it fully." The aliens outside were growing curious. A few came closer, hovering near the bay. They whispered among themselves. "Why is he still working?" one asked. "It is useless," said another. "Humans cannot touch it." Jack, of course, did not answer. By the fifth day, he had repaired enough systems to test minor functions. The ship responded to basic commands. Lights turned on, doors opened, minor engines hummed. Jack activated the sensors, and the ship scanned the nearby space. It was slow, and the data was incomplete, but it worked. Jack floated through the corridors, touching walls, panels, and consoles, feeling the ship's subtle vibrations. He smiled and said, "You're going to be amazing, Old Heart. Just wait. I've got more in mind." For a brief moment, he thought about the galaxy watching. If anyone had seen him, they might have laughed or doubted him, but Jack did not care. He had worked too long on ships that others gave up on. He had repaired things that no one else could. And this ship was going to be his masterpiece. He took a small rest near the engine core, floating in the quiet hum of the slowly awakening vessel. The ship was massive, but it felt smaller somehow, like it recognized him as its master. Jack could imagine flying it through the stars, faster than anyone expected, with systems no alien had ever imagined. The scrapyard was silent. The stars beyond the bay glimmered coldly. The other ships, abandoned and broken, floated like tombstones. Jack Harper smiled, knowing that in a few weeks, none of them would matter. The ship in front of him, forgotten and abandoned, would rise again. And when it did, no one would laugh at humans ever again. Jack Harper had barely slept. The ship's core seemed to pulse quietly and sync with his heartbeat. He floated through the corridors, listening to the soft hum of systems awakening. The ship was huge, and every room, every panel, seemed to have its own personality. Jack had seen ships with AI before, but this one felt different. It was as if it had been waiting for him, waiting for someone who could understand it. He decided to start with the engines. The old power conduits were damaged, twisted, and burned out in several places. Most humans would have given up. Most aliens would have ignored it entirely. But Jack had a plan. He pulled out a set of portable energy stabilizers and began rewiring the conduits. He combined human technology with alien scraps he had collected from the scrapyard. It was risky. But Jack always believed in taking risks when others were too scared. Hours passed, sparks flew, metal groaned, and the low hum of the ship grew louder. Jack worked in zero gravity, floating from one panel to another, carefully adjusting the energy flow. The ship's sensors flickered, scanning him as if curious. He smiled. "You like this, huh?" he said quietly. "You're going to love what comes next." As he worked, Jack noticed small failures in the systems. Some panels refused to activate, others gave strange readings. He studied the ship carefully, tracing circuits and reading old alien codes. It was challenging. The technology was older than anything humans had encountered. It was not broken. It was simply different. Jack had always been good at improvisation. Where the ship's systems failed, he created small devices to bypass the broken components. Simple circuits, human logic, a little guesswork, and things started working. The lights flickered, the doors opened smoothly, and the ship's internal sensors began to map the surrounding space. By the second day, Jack had restored basic navigation. He tested the engines with small bursts. The massive thrusters groaned and sputtered, but the ship moved slightly, responding to his commands. He laughed quietly. "You feel that? That's the first breath in a long time," he said, floating near the engine room. "You're alive again." Jack didn't know it yet, but a few observers had returned. Lena, an alien engineer from a nearby faction, had been watching Jack for days. She hid in the shadows of the scrapyard, fascinated. Most of her species had given up on the ship, claiming it was useless. But Jack had done what no alien could do. He had awakened it. She had never seen a human work like this. Humans were unpredictable, unorganized, and yet brilliant in ways her kind could not understand. Why is he still working? Lena asked herself quietly. This is impossible. No human should be able to do this. Lena had to know more. She floated closer, carefully avoiding detection. She watched Jack connect a series of power relays, adjusting energy flows and carefully monitoring feedback. Sparks flew, but nothing exploded. Jack worked calmly, focused, confident. It was a method she could not understand, but it worked. Jack had reached the ship's main control room. He was tired, but he could not stop. There were too many things to fix, too many mysteries to uncover. He activated a secondary power node. Lights flashed across the room. Consoles blinked on. The air smelled faintly metallic, but it was fresh, breathable. Life support was functional. "This is good," Jack said, floating to the center console. "Very good." He connected his portable interface device to the main computer. Data began to flow. Slow, at first. Corrupted. Incomplete. Jack studied the code carefully, interpreting alien symbols, matching patterns, and improvising solutions. Hours passed. He barely noticed. Every time he solved a problem, the ship responded with a soft hum or a flicker of lights, almost like it was encouraging him. As Jack worked, he realized something strange. The ship's systems seemed to adapt to him. If he rewired a circuit in one way, the system responded differently than if an alien or machine had done it. The ship was learning from him. That was impossible, or at least highly unusual. Jack frowned, thinking. "You're smarter than you look," he said quietly to the ship. "I think you like humans." By the third day, the ship had regained partial function. Jack could activate lights, doors, and basic propulsion. Sensors could scan the nearby area. He tested communication systems, but they were heavily damaged. Most signals were lost, corrupted beyond repair. He sighed but smiled. There was still work to do, and this was only the beginning. During one of his breaks, Lena finally revealed herself. She stepped out from the shadows of a nearby observation bay. "You're amazing," she said in a quiet voice, startling Jack. Jack turned quickly, reaching for a tool, then relaxed. "You're the first to say something helpful," he said with a grin. "Everyone else just yells at me." "I'm Lena," she said, floating closer. "I've been watching you for days. I've never seen a human work like this. Most of us gave up on this ship weeks ago. And you're bringing it back to life." Jack floated back, curious. "Why are you helping me now?" "I'm not helping," she said. "I'm curious. I need to see how you do this. My people will not understand if this ship works. They will see humans as a threat." Jack nodded. "Well, if you want to learn, watch carefully. I've got a lot more to do, and the ship listens to me more than anyone else." Over the next several days, Jack and Lena worked together, though Jack did most of the work, Lena observed, occasionally offering advice when Jack asked, though mostly she was fascinated by his methods. Jack combined human improvisation with alien technology. Where Lena would have used complex calculations, Jack used simple logic and intuition. Where Lena's kind relied on programming and strict rules, Jack used creativity, making parts from scraps, connecting circuits that should not have worked together, and improvising solutions on the fly. The ship began to respond faster. Lights stayed on longer. Doors moved smoothly. The engines hummed with more power. The air felt alive, charged with energy. Jack could feel it in the vibration of the hull. Every time he touched a panel, it seemed to pulse softly, as if recognizing him. On the seventh day, Jack discovered a hidden compartment beneath the main engine room. Inside was a small orb, glowing faintly. It was different from the rest of the ship, almost alive. Jack reached for it carefully, floating closer. "This must be the real heart of the ship," he said. Everything else is just the body." He connected the orb to his portable stabilizer. The energy that flowed was unlike anything he had ever felt. Warm, alive, responsive. The ship reacted instantly. Lights blazed across corridors, systems activated fully, and the hum of energy filled the halls. Jack could feel the ship moving slightly, almost testing its engines, though still anchored in the scrapyard. Lena floated beside him, wide-eyed. "I've never seen anything like this," she said. "It's alive." Jack smiled. "It's not alive. Not yet. but it's waiting for someone who can understand it. And it likes humans. Word of the ship's awakening spread slowly through the scrapyard. A few alien scavengers returned, curious to see if Jack had failed. They hovered at the edge, whispering and laughing, expecting the worst. But what they saw was impossible. The ship glowed softly in the darkness of space, its massive engines vibrating with quiet energy. Jack moved through the corridors, touching panels, adjusting circuits, and the ship seemed to respond, almost following him. The aliens were silent. Some tried to communicate, warning Jack to stop. He ignored them completely. Their words were meaningless. He had worked too long, fixed too many impossible machines, and now the ship was responding. It was alive enough to listen, alive enough to follow, and perhaps even alive enough to fight if needed. By the 10th day, Jack had restored partial flight capability. The ship could move in small bursts, lift slightly off the hangar, and hold itself in position. He tested the engines cautiously, increasing power slowly. The thrusters roared softly, shaking the hangar bay. Jack laughed quietly. "You feel that?" he said. "You're waking up." Lena smiled faintly. I think you've done something no human has ever done. You've brought a forgotten starship back to life." Jack floated to the control room, connecting the orb fully to the ship's systems. Energy flowed like water, coursing through circuits, panels, and engines. Lights blazed across corridors, illuminating the once-dead halls. The ship shivered slightly, as if stretching after a long sleep. Jack's heart raced. This was the moment he had been waiting for. The ship was responding fully to his touch. Every panel, every system, every engine. And more than that, it was learning from him. Where human logic met alien technology, a new form of life was emerging, part machine, part energy, part human intuition. "You're ready," Jack said quietly, almost in awe. "But the galaxy isn't ready for you yet." And with that, the ship hummed louder, its energy pulsing in sync with Jack's heartbeat. The long-forgotten vessel was no longer abandoned. It was awake, and soon it would be unstoppable. Jack Harper floated through the ship's corridors, feeling the pulse of energy that seemed to flow through the entire vessel. The massive engines hummed like a living thing, and the lights in the halls glowed steadily, almost like the ship had found its own heartbeat. Jack had never seen anything like it. Every panel, every system, even the doors, seemed to respond to him almost before he thought about giving a command. Lena followed him closely, still amazed. "I've never seen a ship react like this," she said. "It's almost alive. It listens to you like a living creature." Jack grinned. "Maybe it is. Maybe it's waiting for humans to bring it to life. Maybe humans are the only ones it trusts." They spent the first hours testing the ship's movement in small bursts. Jack activated the engines gradually, feeling the vibrations through the floor. The massive vessel lifted slightly off the hangar bay, floating smoothly in zero gravity. The thrusters roared gently, but controlled. Lena's eyes widened. "It moves better than any ship I've ever seen. Faster, stronger, smarter." Jack nodded. "That's the human touch," he said. "We don't always follow the rules, but we make things work. We adapt. And this ship, it adapts with me." Word of the ship's awakening had reached the nearby scrapyard factions. Aliens who had laughed at Jack's work returned, hovering at a safe distance, whispering nervously. "He shouldn't be able to do this," one said. "It's impossible for a human to revive something like this." Another shook its head. "This ship is dangerous now. He's made it alive." After and on round, Jack ignored them. He had work to do. The ship was waking up, but it was not yet ready. He needed to test its systems further. He moved through the control room, touching panels, adjusting energy flows, and activating the shields. Lena floated beside him, watching quietly, occasionally asking questions about how he improvised circuits and reconnected alien systems. By the second day, Jack had activated the ship's weapon systems. They were old, dormant, and almost alien in design, but Jack could see their potential. With careful adjustments, he brought them online, testing their targeting and energy output. Small bursts fired into the empty space around the scrapyard. The ship responded perfectly, aiming precisely, even stabilizing itself during recoil. Lena's jaw dropped. It's incredible. You've made the weapons smarter. They actually think. Jack shrugged. They're learning. They watch me. They respond to me. That's how humans work. We don't just follow instructions we think. We adapt. We create. Over the next few days, Jack pushed the ship further. He tested the engines at higher power, experimented with the shields, and integrated the hidden core he had discovered. The energy from the core flowed into every system, enhancing them in ways Jack could barely explain. The ship seemed to anticipate his commands, adjusting thrusters, weapons, and shields automatically. One evening, while floating through the bridge, Jack noticed a flicker in the sensors. He scanned carefully. There, in the distance, a fleet of alien ships had arrived. They were from multiple factions, drawn by rumors of the human who had revived the abandoned vessel. They hovered cautiously, scanning the scrapyard. They're here, Lena said, her voice quiet. They're going to try something. Jack smiled. Let them. They'll see what humans can do when they're underestimated. The alien fleet moved closer, scanning aggressively. Jack activated the ship's full shields. Energy flared along the hull, protective layers forming faster than any human-made system should have been able to. The aliens fired a test volley. The weapons struck the shields, but the energy dispersed harmlessly. Jack watched the readings, adjusting energy flows and reinforcing weak points in real time. They didn't expect this, Lena said. They think this is still an abandoned ship. They have no idea what it can do. Jack activated the ship's engines fully. The massive vessel surged forward, moving faster than anyone could anticipate. The alien ships tried to track it, but the ship's propulsion was unlike anything in the galaxy. It moved with precision, agility, and speed far beyond their expectations. The first real attack came when an alien scout ship attempted to ram the vessel. Jack fired a defensive beam. The ship's weapons adjusted automatically, calculating trajectory, power, and impact point in milliseconds. The beam struck the scout ship, disintegrating it instantly. Lena's eyes were wide. It's thinking faster than any AI I've ever seen. Jack nodded. It's learning. It adapts to the enemy, not just to me. That's why humans are dangerous. We force machines to think in ways they weren't designed to. The alien fleet hesitated. They had expected an easy target, a human with an old, abandoned vessel. Instead, they faced a living weapon that could think, react, and strike before they could even finish a strategy. Jack maneuvered the ship carefully, testing its systems in combat. Every movement, every shot, every shield adjustment was smooth, precise, and instinctive. Lena watched, still amazed. I don't understand how you do this, she said. No human should be able to command a ship like this. Jack laughed softly. It's not about command. It's about understanding. I don't just control it. I work with it. It reacts to me, and I react to it. That's human ingenuity. That's what aliens don't get. For the next few hours, Jack tested the ship in simulated combat against the alien fleet. He moved through the hangar bay, through empty space, firing weapons, evading attacks, and testing shields. The ship was incredible. Every system worked perfectly. Every weapon, shield, and engine responded faster than any human or alien could anticipate. By the fifth day, Jack realized something important. The ship was no longer just a vessel. It had become a part of him. Its systems learned from his instincts, its movements mirrored his thoughts, and its weapons adapted to his strategies. He could imagine a battle, and the ship could act before he even finished the thought. Lena floated beside him, nervous. If your people or mine saw this, they would fear humans more than ever. Jack nodded. Exactly. And that's the point. Humans are underestimated, and the galaxy always forgets what we're capable of. The alien fleet had been observing, cautious now. Jack decided it was time to show them the ship's full potential. He activated the main engines and surged forward. The ship moved with unmatched speed, dodging every attack. Its weapons fired automatically, targeting enemies with perfect accuracy. Shields reinforced themselves in milliseconds. Every attempt by the aliens to disable the ship failed. They don't know what they're facing, Lena whispered. Jack laughed quietly. They never do. The battle continued for hours. Jack tested every system, every weapon, every engine. The ship responded flawlessly, learning, adapting, and improving with each action. The aliens tried new strategies, but the ship adjusted instantly, countering every move. By the end of the day, the alien fleet had retreated, badly damaged and humiliated. Jack floated in the control room, his heart racing. The ship was more powerful than anything he had ever imagined. It had become a living weapon, a machine that thought and adapted. And it had done it all with human ingenuity at its core. Lena floated beside him, silent for a moment. I've seen many ships in my life, she said, but I've never seen one like this. You've made something impossible real. Jack smiled. It's not just me. It's what humans can do. We're underestimated, but we can adapt, create, and conquer in ways no one expects. This ship is just the beginning. He looked out at the empty scrapyard, thinking about the galaxy beyond. Alien fleets would come, more powerful and more numerous. But now, Jack knew something. With human ingenuity, he could turn anything, even an abandoned, forgotten ship, into the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. And the galaxy would have no choice but to remember humans. Jack Harper floated in the control room, watching the stars stretch past the viewport. The ship was alive, thrumming with power, responding to his every thought and movement. He had tested it, pushed it, and even faced alien attacks. But now he knew the truth. The ship was more than a machine. It was a living weapon, a sentinel, a partner. And with it, humans could no longer be ignored. Lena floated beside him, still staring in amazement. It's incredible, she said quietly. I've never seen a ship respond like this. It's like it knows you. Jack smiled faintly. It does. I'm not just its pilot. I'm its partner. Humans think differently. We improvise. We adapt. We don't follow rules blindly. That's why the galaxy never expects what we can do. He pushed the engines to full power, feeling the hum of energy course through the hull. The massive ship glided through space, faster than any fleet had ever seen. The shields strengthened automatically. Weapons aligned instantly, and sensors scanned everything in every direction. The ship was aware, alive, and ready. The first real test came soon. Reports from nearby systems arrived, warning of a coalition fleet moving toward the scrapyard. They had learned of the human who had revived the abandoned vessel, and they intended to destroy it. Jack did not panic. He had expected this. Humans had always been underestimated, and this was his advantage. Lena, he said, his voice steady. Get ready. They think they can scare us. Let's show them what humans can do. She nodded, still wide-eyed but ready. I've never fought alongside a human before. But I trust you. Send. Quote. The Coalition fleet appeared on the sensors. Hundreds of ships, sleek, powerful, and armed to the teeth. They spread out in formation, confident they could crush a single human-controlled ship. They had no idea what awaited them. Jack activated the ship's main systems. Energy pulsed from the core, spreading through shields, weapons, and engines. The ship's lights flared, and a low hum filled the corridors. Every system reacted instantly to Jack's commands, even before he finished thinking them. The first wave of ships attacked. Jack moved the ship with incredible agility, weaving through lasers and missiles that should have destroyed him instantly. The ship's weapons fired automatically, targeting enemies with perfect precision. Shields reinforced themselves in milliseconds. Every attack that came their way was countered, blocked, or destroyed before it could hit. Lena floated beside him, holding onto a support rail. It's unbelievable. Every weapon, every move. It's perfect. How are you doing this? Jack grinned. It's not me alone. It's human intuition. We see patterns, improvise solutions, and act faster than anyone expects. The ship, it just follows my lead. And together, we're unstoppable. The battle raged on for hours. The Coalition fleet attacked in waves, but each wave failed. The ship adapted continuously. If one tactic worked, the ship would counter it next time, faster and smarter. Jack guided it through space like a conductor with an orchestra, every weapon a note, every engine thrust a rhythm. One of the alien commanders, a tall being with metallic skin and glowing eyes, finally realized the truth. It's not just a human, the commander said, voice trembling. The ship, it reacts to him. It learns. Jack ignored them. He didn't need to answer. Every action of the ship spoke for itself. The Coalition fleet faltered, unsure how to respond. Their most advanced tactics were useless against a ship that could adapt instantly, think faster than any AI, and anticipate their moves. By the 6th hour, the Coalition had suffered heavy losses. Many ships were destroyed, and the remainder retreated in fear. Jack kept the ship in pursuit, careful not to destroy more than necessary, showing the galaxy what humans were capable without unnecessary bloodshed. After the battle, Jack floated in the control room, exhausted but satisfied. The ship's systems powered down slightly, returning to a calm hum. Lena floated beside him, still silent. They underestimated you, she said finally. They underestimated humans. They thought a single mechanic couldn't do what he's done. Jack nodded. That's always been the advantage. Humans are unpredictable. We take risks no one else will. We adapt. And we create solutions no one expects. Over the next few weeks, Jack and Lena worked to improve the ship further. They repaired damaged systems, optimized the core, and integrated new energy flows. Every time Jack touched a panel, the ship responded instantly, learning from his decisions. It became faster, smarter, stronger, more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ship began to gain a reputation. Reports spread of a massive, living vessel that had defeated hundreds of ships alone. Some called it a myth. Others called it a monster. But the truth was simple. It was a human creation, built from ingenuity, risk, and courage. Jack didn't care about fame. He cared about proving a point. Humans were not weak. Humans were not inferior. One day, as Jack ran tests on the weapon systems, Lena floated beside him, watching the ship hum with energy. "You've made it perfect," she said softly. "I've never seen anything like it. You've made the galaxy fear humans in a way no one has before." Jack smiled, tapping the main console. It's not fear. It's respect. People will think twice before underestimating humans again. That's what matters. The ship itself seemed to respond, lights flaring along the hull, engines pulsing as if in agreement. Jack floated to the main viewport, staring out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of powerful fleets, ancient empires, and deadly machines. But now, there was something else. There was humanity. And humanity had a weapon the galaxy had never seen before. Soon, messages arrived from distant systems. Some were warnings, others were offers. Aliens who had once laughed at humans now asked for meetings. Factions that had ignored Earth now wanted alliances. Everywhere, whispers spread of the human mechanic who had revived a forgotten starship and made it the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. Jack ignored most of it. He was a mechanic, not a diplomat. But he understood the message. Humans had earned their place among the stars, not through armies, not through treaties, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to turn the impossible into reality. Lena floated beside him once more. "What will you do now?" she asked. Jack tapped the main console, feeling the hum of energy through his fingertips. "We'll keep improving. We'll explore, protect, and maybe even teach the galaxy that humans are not to be ignored. This ship, it's just the start. Humans have always been underestimated, and we always will be. That's the advantage." For days, Jack tested the ship further, pushing its systems to new limits. The engines now moved faster than any starship he had ever known. Weapons recalibrated themselves instantly. Shields adapted to every type of attack. Every test showed one truth. This ship was no longer just a starship. It was a living symbol of human potential. News of the ship reached distant corners of the galaxy. Stories spread of a human who had taken an abandoned, forgotten starship and made it stronger than the combined fleets of alien empires. Scholars, strategists, and military leaders debated how a single human could achieve such a feat. Most concluded it was impossible. Few understood the truth. Humans think differently. Humans adapt. Humans innovate. Jack floated through the corridors one last time, touching panels, checking engines, and feeling the pulse of energy throughout the ship. He had taken something that no one wanted, something abandoned and forgotten, and turned it into the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. Lena watched him quietly. "Do you ever stop?" she asked. Jack smiled. "Not when the impossible exists. Humans never stop. We take what's broken, what's forgotten, and we make it powerful. That's what makes us dangerous." The stars outside the viewport stretched endlessly, and Jack thought about the future. There would be challenges, enemies, and battles ahead. But now, humanity had a symbol of ingenuity, courage, and strength. A starship that was not just a machine, but a testament to what humans could do when they were underestimated. He tapped the console, sending a signal across the galaxy. It was simple, direct, and clear. Humans are here. Humans adapt. Humans create. And humans are never to be underestimated. The abandoned ship had found life again. And with it, a legend was born. Jack Harper, the human mechanic, had not just fixed a ship, he had changed the way the galaxy saw humanity. And the galaxy would never forget it. The ship pulsed with energy, engines ready, weapons primed, and shields strong. Jack smiled, floating to the bridge, feeling the life of the ship resonate through him. The galaxy was vast, but now it had a new force, a living symbol of human ingenuity. Jack whispered to the ship, "Let's go. Let's show them what humans can do." Line. And with that, the ship surged forward into the stars, alive, powerful, and unstoppable. The abandoned vessel was no longer forgotten. It was a beacon of humanity's strength, a warning to every alien empire, and proof that humans could turn the impossible into reality.